SMT Nation, we back with another video. We're going to be taking a look at kind of some network evaluation. We're going to look at Spectrum portfolios. I think this is a good video for a lot of you that are new to the channel, as well as those that are veterans and longtime members, viewers, subscribers of the SMT Nation. It's time to really look at this objectively. Which carriers are in the best position in terms of their portfolio of spectrum and licenses, and which ones do we see deficiencies? We're going to try to do this as objectively as possible. I'm going to throw in a lot of different factors. If there are things that I've overlooked, then by all means, please do comment down below and reply to others as well. The conversations are often quite productive. All right, so let's take a look first at what this means by upper midband. We're talking about 3 gigahertz spectrum. We're talking about the 2.5 gigahertz for T-Mobile, C-band, DoD, CBRS. This is the true capacity uh, channels of what the carriers are doing. Now, we're going to leave millimeter wave sort of out of this because that doesn't qualify as midband. But as it stands, this is kind of where we're at with this. All right, now we have a bunch of percentages. These are pie charts. I'll link this in the description so you guys can check it out. I forget the website I got this from, but I'll link it for you guys and you can take a look at it. What this pie chart represents is how much of the available spectrum each of the carriers has. And this gives you a good idea of how much capacity they have with those mid-band channels. All right, starting with the big four: Dish, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. Now, you have to consider the market share, right? How much mid-band spectrum a carrier might feel they need. You also have to think about what they're doing with the spectrum, what they're doing with their network. Are they doing fixed wireless access? Are they simply a mobile carrier? Those types of things are important to consider. So let's start first with Verizon here at the top, the blue. They occupy a 30% position of the upper mid-band frequencies and spectrum. I mean, that's pretty good. They are second place in considerations in regards to AT&T and T-Mobile. So they've got CBRS and like the top 50 PAs, top 40 some PAs. Typically, they have like between 30 and 40 megahertz of it. And they also do some unlicensed stuff in other places, but that's an important little add-on that I often feel gets overlooked. It does have power limitations, and it's not a macro band per se, but it definitely is a nice little capacity layer. Where they take all this big chunk here is the 3.7, the 3700. That's the C band. All right, they spent a ton of money on it. One fell swoop, they got all their mid band there. All right, next we have AT&T at 24%. AT&T has their mid-band, upper mid-band in two different frequencies. They have theirs with C-band, just like Verizon, but they also have DoD spectrum, which is 3.45 gigahertz. So that's how theirs is comprised. Now you'll notice that Verizon has quite a bit of spectrum here relative to AT&T. But the difference is they're doing different things with their network. AT&T is simply a mobile network. They don't do fixed wireless access, but Verizon does. They do fixed wireless access, and that's going to be a big part of their business growth moving forward. There's going to be an additional, strain and stress and usage on the network for that purpose. Here is T-Mobile. They are number one at 34%. A majority of this is due to the 2.5 gigahertz spectrum from the acquisition of Sprint and their assets. Now, the thing about T-Mobile is that's not the only thing they have. They have a little bit of CBRS, which they haven't really built out yet in certain places. Um, Definitely not the concentration of what they're doing, nor is it really important to the future. I'm guessing it's quite situational, like their millimeter wave situation. But they do have some C band, and they do have uh, a large swath of geographical coverage of the DoD, 3.45 gigahertz. So that's why you see T-Mobile trying to maintain this spectrum position. By comparison, they have more of it than Verizon. By comparison, they have more of it than AT&T. But T-Mobile is also going to be doing fixed wireless access to a very massive extent. Nationally, it's very important to them. The 2.5 gigahertz will be carrying the mail for most of that, but they also have the C-band and the DoD. So for them to be in this position makes sense. They know they're going to have to build out the mid-band. In fact, they're going to have to probably densify much more. More sites getting upgraded, more sites built. One of the things that I have been critical of T-Mobile is the lack of CRAN within my market, addressing coverage gaps, addressing capacity needs, not really doing small cells, millimeter waves, essentially non-existent. Those things will come, I'm sure. They just haven't up to this point. AT&T has done a much better job with CRAN in my market, and they've done some millimeter wave downtown. It's actually pretty robust. Nobody has done as much in my market as Verizon when it comes to the CRAN small cells, the millimeter wave build. They've got multiple cities with very extensive footprints for millimeter wave, multiple nodes on the same block at certain times. They've got certain parts of the city just smothered with this stuff. So maybe that's why, you know, Verizon looks at their position of midband and says, well, this is enough for us. We're also going to still continue to do millimeter wave. And they've been building at a rate of about 14,000 to 17,000 millimeter wave nodes annually. It's not really slowing down. It's pretty much staying the same. This is year number 3 on that pace. AT&T, because they don't have the fixed wireless, they just simply probably don't need so much of that attention. T-Mobile probably so. So when you're looking at this, and let's call a spade here. When you look at this chunk, based on their needs, I think each carrier has what they need based on what they're doing. You know, and like with those factors that I've thrown out there. Now, if you look at, say, for example, Dish with 9% of the upper midband, they don't have any customers. So them having 9% is no big deal, right? They've got 40 megahertz of DoD national. They don't have any of the C band. They do have some CBRS, but their focus is going to be the low band, the AWS piece, you know, with N66 and N70 and all those things. But when I evaluate, you know, the capacity of what the carriers can each do, I think they're all fine. I don't see any concerns. You could make an argument. It's valid. I'll let you make that argument with no resistance that Verizon and T-Mobile will likely have to add on to their portfolio because they're both doing fixed wireless access. Now, T-Mobile says things like we're a pure wireless company, right? They're pure play wireless, which is different than AT&T because they're home wireline and fiber and DSL and all of that. But very much so like Verizon, which has some FiOS but doesn't really focus on it or expand it. But they're mostly wireless too. They've moved that direction as well. You could make the argument that these two are going to need more midband very soon. I mean, look, just calling a spade, right? Maybe they are in a rougher position than say AT&T, which does have lesser spectrum holdings, but they also have lesser stress. They don't have fixed wireless network access uh, traffic to deal with. And Dish, until they get customers on their network and they actually launch nationwide and there's customers there, I mean, what are they going to be worried about, right? They just got to build tower sites. I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think is in the best position? Who do you think is in the worst position? What do you think about the factors that I brought up? You know, namely, what we've always known is that whichever carrier, and multiple carriers can do it, whoever densifies with the most sites seems to perform best in markets, right? Verizon is the densest in my market. They do very well. AT&T a little bit not as dense, I should say, as well as T-Mobile. They have their dead spots, or I should say they have their weak spots. No carrier is perfect. I'm just speaking to the density. By splitting cells, you can actually support the network very much. Lots of small cells, lots of CRAN, millimeter wave helps a lot. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but these are how the carriers stack up. Who are you concerned about moving forward? Who do you think needs to address this in future auctions very soon? Tell me about your market as well. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. You all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Like, share, subscribe for more. Turn on that bell notification icon to never miss an upload. There are links in the description for my Patreon page if you want to support us and get early access to content and exclusive videos not found anywhere else. Also, my Twitter handle is down there, and all business inquiries can go to the Gmail address in the description. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.